I woke up to find myself naked in bed with my girlfriend's younger sister. My pregnant girlfriend, Diana, was screaming, accusing us of cheating, her phone's camera flashing wildly in our faces. "You animal. My sister is disabled. How could you do this to her? You have to take responsibility for this." I insisted I was innocent and demanded we call the police to get to the bottom of it. But her mother used the baby to threaten me into signing a document, forcing me to voluntarily cover all of her sister's future expenses. The very next day, Diana broke up with me. I tried everything to win her back, until I saw her with my own eyes, checking into a hotel with another man. In the heat of the moment, they pushed me into the street. I was hit and killed instantly by a speeding truck. When I opened my eyes again, I was right back here on the day I was framed. The phantom pain from the accident hadn't fully faded when a sharp slap jolted me awake. I opened my eyes to see my girlfriend, her eyes red from crying. "Frank, how could you do this to me?" Remembering how I had just caught Diana cheating, a wave of pure rage crashed through me. I shot up, ready to demand why she had killed me. But the next second, my hand brushed against a smooth, bare arm. Diana buried her face in her hands, sobbing, "Mom, I can't live like this. The wedding is off, and I don't want this baby anymore." I stared blankly at her pale-faced sister next to me, and it hit me. I had been reborn. In my past life, her mother, Brenda, had called me over, saying she wanted to discuss the wedding plans. I arrived with thoughtful gifts, but after drinking a cup of tea, I became incredibly drowsy. The next thing I knew, I was waking up to them catching me in bed. Diana pointed at me furiously. "Frank, you're just an animal who can't control himself. My sister is disabled. It's already hard enough for her to find someone, and now her future brother-in-law has taken her innocence. You have to make this right." I had no memory of what happened and insisted I was innocent, demanding we call the police to investigate. But Brenda used the baby as leverage. She claimed that if I wasn't willing to take responsibility for her other daughter, Rachel, it proved I was an irresponsible man, and she would never let Diana have my child or marry me. Hearing that, I was overwhelmed with guilt. I couldn't stand seeing Diana caught in the middle. So I agreed to sign the agreement, voluntarily covering all of Rachel's future expenses and even paying a one-time compensation of $100,000. But the very next day, Diana called and broke up with me. I thought she was just upset about me and her sister, so I did everything I could to win her back. But then I saw it with my own eyes. Her getting into another man's luxury car and heading to a 5-star hotel. As they got out, Diana leaned into his arms coquettishly and said, "You promised. As soon as the baby is born, you'll divorce your wife." That idiot Frank still thinks the baby is his. He even signed that ridiculous agreement my mom drew up, all for me, she sneered. "You should take a good look in the mirror. Did he really think I'd have a baby with some guy who just earns a fixed salary?" Hearing that, I couldn't control my rage and rushed over to confront them. During the argument, the two of them pushed me into the road, and I died tragically under the wheels of a speeding truck. I never thought I'd get a second chance. Seeing my silence, Brenda pulled Diana's hand protectively. "Don't you worry, sweetie. Mom will never let you marry a scumbag like this. We're going to go talk to his parents and get this sorted out." As she spoke, her eyes darted towards me, gauging my reaction. I shot a cold smirk at the silent Rachel. "Your whole family ganging up on me to force my hand? This is blackmail. And I'm not going to let any of you get away with it." Brenda's eyes bulged as she pointed a finger at me. "You shameless monster. You get my older daughter pregnant while assaulting my younger one. And now you have the nerve to accuse us of blackmail? I'm going to have a word with your parents and ask them just what kind of animal they raised." In my last life, Brenda went straight to my parents, twisting the facts and making a huge scene for all the neighbors to see. Everyone thought I was a monster in disguise, and the stress gave my mom a heart attack. This time, I wouldn't let her get away with her games. I quickly got dressed and looked for my phone to call the police, but Diana had already snatched it. Her eyes wide with fury, she threatened, "If you dare call the cops and drag my sister's name through the mud, I will never, ever forgive you. We'll be done for good." "That's not an option," I started to say, but Brenda cut me off with a sneer. "If you still want to marry my daughter, then you have to take responsibility for Rachel. I don't want to make this hard. Just sign this agreement to cover all of Rachel's living expenses from now on. I'll turn a blind eye and pretend this whole thing never happened." Diana shoved the document in my face. "This is your penance for acting like an animal. If you don't sign it, I'm going to the clinic right now to get an abortion." I glanced down at the agreement. Just like last time, it stipulated that I would not only cover all of Rachel's daily expenses, but also hire a 24-hour caregiver and pay for her physical therapy. The cost would be a bottomless pit. Right in front of them, I tore the agreement to shreds and threw the pieces in Diana's face. Then go get your abortion. The wedding's off. I'm not supporting a woman who has nothing to do with me. Brenda flew into a rage and shoved me. I simply raised a hand to block her, and she immediately collapsed to the floor, wailing loudly, which prompted a knock at the door from the neighbors. Diana rushed to open it, giving her mother the audience she wanted. They'd completely forgotten how they had just said they wanted to keep this quiet. Seeing the crowd of onlookers growing at the door, I grabbed a jacket to cover Rachel. But Diana violently knocked it away, deliberately exposing the marks on Rachel's body to the men gathered there. Everyone, come and listen to this. You all be the judge. Diana cried out. My boyfriend went behind my back and forced himself on my sister. Now when I ask him to take responsibility, he tells me to get an abortion and wants to break up. How can anyone be so cruel? The neighbors, who all knew her family well, naturally took their side, blocking the doorway, so I couldn't leave. Brenda was a mess of tears and snot, putting on a show for everyone. We understand he's a man, and it's hard to control certain urges. We don't want to send him to jail. We just want a little compensation for my younger daughter, she sobbed. You all know that poor girl born disabled. Now her innocence is gone too. If she doesn't get any compensation, how is she supposed to survive? Yeah, he's a real piece of work, our neighbor, Mr. Henderson, said, pointing at me angrily. Young man, I always thought you were a decent guy. I was happy for Diana. I never imagined you were a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm telling you, you're not leaving here today unless you agree to Brenda's terms. That's right. We can't let him just walk away. The nerve of this kid. My son's a reporter for the Denver Post. If he doesn't agree, I'll have my son put his face all over the news. More and more people were drawn by the commotion. Rachel's face was as white as a sheet. I picked up the jacket again and gently draped it over her shoulders. She looked up, met my gaze for a second, then silently lowered her head again. She hadn't said a single word to accuse me. I asked her quietly, did I force you to do anything last night? Rachel tensed up, then shook her head frantically. I don't know. I just woke up like you did. She had always been timid, practically invisible in her own family, and never dared to defy her mother or sister. I understood. I spoke to her gently. Are you willing to go to the police with me to help investigate what really happened? Before Rachel could answer, Brenda charged back in and slapped me hard across the face. You little monster. You mess up, and now you want to pressure my daughter into lying for you. She just turned 18. How can she go to a police station for that kind of investigation? Do you want to ruin her life and humiliate her forever? I glanced at the agitated crowd outside. And what do you call what you and Diana are doing right now? Brenda jutted out her chin, speaking as if she were completely in the right. I'm getting justice for my daughter. I'm her mother. Would I ever hurt her? But if you don't give us what we want today, I'll go to your parents' house, I'll go to your office, and I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of animal you are. You stared at her coldly. Go ahead, make a bigger scene. Then everyone will find out whose baby is really in Diana's belly. Brenda flinched, but quickly recovered. Fine. So not only did you assault my younger daughter, now you're slandering her baby too. I was so wrong about you. Diana covered her face, crying dramatically. Frank, we've been together for 2 years. What have I ever done to you that you'd slander me like this? Are you trying to drive me to suicide? I snatched my phone back from her and immediately dialed 911. Before the call could connect, Brenda lunged at me, tackling me to the ground. She kicked my phone, sending it skittering onto the bed. Seeing this, the other neighbors swarmed in, pinning me down so I couldn't move. Someone was choking me, my face turning purple from lack of air. You're all accomplices. I gasped. Brenda set this whole thing up. She just wants someone to pay for Rachel's life. And Diana, she's cheating on me with another man. At that, Brenda shot Diana a panicked look. In a flash, Diana pulled off her own sock and shoved it in my mouth. You say one more word of nonsense, and I'll sue you for slander. This baby is yours, and you can't weasel out of your responsibility by making up lies about me. The others couldn't stand it either, chiming in to call me a heartless monster. I'd heard it all before, so the anger was fading. I just hoped the 911 operator had heard enough. Brenda ordered them to tie me up. Mr. Henderson even called his reporter son, telling him to hurry over for a scoop. Their plan was to drag me to my parents' house and force them to sign the agreement on my behalf. But just as the whole procession reached the bottom of the stairs, a sedan pulled up and blocked our path. My childhood friend, Leo, got out. He started untying me while flashing his police badge. Are you all aware that kidnapping is a felony? Brenda immediately started her theatrics again. Officer, you've got it all wrong. He's the one who hurt my daughter. He's a rapist. You can't let a criminal go free and punish the innocent. Diana recognized Leo instantly. He's friends with Frank. This is abuse of power. The concerned neighbors circled us. Seeing things were getting out of hand, Leo called for backup. Mr. Henderson, clutching his chest and panting for breath, yelled, "You're supposed to be public servants. How can you defend this shameless creep?" Leo stepped in front of me. "Sir, police work is based on evidence. If, as that woman claims, Frank committed a rape, then who is the victim? It's her younger daughter, Rachel. We all know her." Mr. Henderson shot back. A chorus of agreement rose from the crowd, and soon they were all pointing fingers at both me and Leo. He seemed unfazed, as if he'd seen this 100 times. All the more reason to let us handle this properly. I need to take the victim to the station for an official investigation. Rest assured, if Frank is guilty, I won't protect him. "No way," Brenda shouted, blocking the entrance to the building. "Everyone knows you and Frank grew up together. We don't trust you. If we let you take our daughter, you just destroy any evidence you find." Mr. Henderson nodded. "That's right. We can't let you just take her. What if you mistreat that poor girl at the station? I'd be an accomplice." "You have my word, sir. Our investigation will be completely impartial," Leo insisted. "Easy for you to say now. If you decide to cover for him later, what can we do about it?" Brenda was getting more and more worked up, completely unreasonable. Just then, a car pulled up and several reporters rushed out. Mr. Henderson's face lit up. "Mark, you're just in time," he yelled to one of them. "This cop is trying to take the suspect away himself. You got to expose both of them." Seeing the cameras, Leo walked over and extended a hand. "Hello, I'm Detective Leo Garcia, Denver PD. Mark Jennings, Denver Post," the reporter replied. "Mr. Jennings, the person who called 911 was Frank Peterson. I need to take both him and the alleged victim, Rachel Miller, to the station for questioning. Could you please help me persuade these folks not to obstruct the investigation during this critical time?" Mark's eyes lit up, and he immediately signaled his cameraman to start rolling. "No can do, detective. Cop protects rapist friend. That's a headline that'll get me a promotion. This is my big break." He then pointed at me. "Get a few good close-ups of this monster. We're going to make his face famous for all the wrong reasons." "Don't you reporters need actual facts before you print something?" I asked, stepping forward, worried Leo would get dragged into this. Mark just laughed in my face. "You were caught naked in bed with her. What more evidence do we need? You're a rapist, and I'm putting your face on the front page. And your cop buddy here is going down with you. That's my boy. I'm so proud of you." Mr. Henderson beamed. I tried to argue further, but Brenda shoved past me, positioning herself right in front of the camera. "Everyone look at this. There's no justice in the world," she wailed. "The police are trying to let a rapist go free. What about my daughter's future? If it weren't for this brave reporter, people like us would have no voice at all." Leo gave me a subtle signal to stay calm. He stepped in front of the camera, his demeanor professional. "As I've stated, police work is based on evidence. Since there is an alleged victim, she needs to come with me to the station so we can conduct a proper investigation. Once the facts are clear, I assure you, justice will be served. You don't want to find the truth. You and that rapist Frank are old friends." Brenda kept hammering that point. "Fine," I said. "In that case, I'll call 911 again and have a different officer dispatched. You're not going to claim I'm friends with the entire Denver police force, are you?" That shut her up for a second, but then her eyes darted around as she found new excuse. "You cops all stick together. I don't trust any of you. We don't need the police for this. I can handle it myself." "No, you can't," Leo said firmly, blocking her path. "You've made a formal accusation of rape. This can't be settled privately. It has to go through the legal system. If he's guilty, he will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law." Brenda was cornered and speechless, so she shot a desperate look at Diana. Taking the cue, Diana clutched her stomach and stepped in front of the camera. "I never thought my own boyfriend could be such a monster," she cried. "I'm 2 months pregnant. We were about to get married. How could he do this to my own sister? How am I ever going to face Rachel again?" Her tears immediately whipped the crowd back into a frenzy. The situation was spiraling out of control. Leo was talking himself hoarse, but couldn't calm anyone down, and Brenda looked absolutely triumphant. "I'm going to teach you a lesson today, you animal. Come on. We're going to your parents' house," she shrieked. "And as for your cop friend, I'll see to it he's stripped of his badge." She started dragging me toward the car, but just then, sirens blared as several patrol cars surrounded the scene. Brenda froze in terror. She gave Diana a hard shove, trying to send her back inside. I realized she wanted Diana to go coach Rachel on her story, so I grabbed Diana's arm and held on tight. "The police will talk to Rachel themselves. You should worry about yourself," I said. Diana stared at me in disbelief. "Are you really going to be this cruel?" The irony. Wasn't she the one who had literally gotten me killed in my past life? I ignored her struggles and pulled her over to the newly arrived officers. "This woman, Diana Miller, and her mother, Brenda Miller, are accusing me of raping Rachel Miller. I didn't do anything, and I need your help to clear my name. Take everyone downtown. Get Rachel to the hospital for a full examination, the officer in charge commanded. The moment he spoke, even the arrogant reporter Mark Jennings shut his mouth. His father, however, didn't get the memo and tried to block the officers. You cops are all the same, bullying ordinary people. As long as I'm here, you're not taking Brenda and her daughter anywhere. Dad! Mark Jennings scrambled to pull his father back. That's the chief of police. Brenda's face went white, her voice trembling. The chief? Why would the chief come here himself? This has to be a setup. You hired actors to scare us. I let out a cold laugh. Mrs. Miller, do you really think I could rent a fleet of fake police cars and hire the chief of the Denver PD in the span of a few minutes? She had nothing left to say. Everyone at the scene was taken to the station to give a statement. I told them everything from the moment I arrived last night to the present. Leo told me, if Rachel was actually assaulted, the medical exam will prove it. If she wasn't, then they have no way to frame you. I trusted his abilities and told him everything, but I begged him to keep it quiet and not let my parents find out. I was afraid the shock, without knowing the full story, would give them a heart attack, just like last time. Leo promised he would. A few hours later, I was finally led out of the interrogation room. The evidence was clear. Nothing had happened between me and Rachel. I had been drugged with a powerful sedative and slept straight through the night. Brenda and Diana's accusations were proven to be completely baseless. In addition to jail time, they were ordered to pay me a significant amount in damages. But I knew this wasn't over. My revenge wouldn't be that simple. After leaving the station, I went straight to the reporter, Mark Jennings, and told him I had a much bigger story for him. He eagerly agreed to cooperate. Following my leads, he and his contacts quickly identified the man Diana was cheating with, Julian Vance, and more importantly, his wife. To my surprise, Julian wasn't some tycoon. He was a kept man who had married into money and, over time, built up a facade of status that had fooled Diana completely. I went to the address myself and met with Julian's wife, Mrs. Thompson, explaining everything. With her help, we quickly uncovered all the hotel records for Diana and Julian's affair. Mrs. Thompson gave a chilling smile. Those two, I'm going to make sure they get exactly what they deserve. I told her that Diana was pregnant with Julian's child. She assured me that she would take care of that problem. We didn't make a move. We just waited for Diana and Brenda to get out of jail. In the meantime, I quit my job. I took the money I'd saved for the wedding and invested it all in a new startup with a friend. He'd been asking me to join him for ages, but I'd always been too cautious, thinking about Diana and the baby. Now, with nothing holding me back, I was young and free. Why not take a risk on myself? By the time they were released, our company was already off the ground. I had gone from a corporate drone to a respected CEO. As for Diana, the scandal she'd created had backfired spectacularly. Everyone knew about her and her mother's scheme. She was not only humiliated, but also fired from her job. Brenda couldn't let it go. She sent Diana to find Julian and use the baby to blackmail him for money to get them through their rough patch. What they didn't know was that Mark and I were waiting for them. As soon as Diana left his apartment building, we started tailing her. I made a call to Mrs. Thompson. This was our chance. 40 minutes later, our entire party assembled outside a 5-star hotel in downtown Denver. Mark had already found out their room number. Mrs. Thompson led the charge, bringing not just a private investigator, but also a videographer and a team of bodyguards. We were ready to catch them in the act. We waited outside the door for a good 15 minutes, until we could hear her cries from inside. Then, Mrs. Thompson gave the signal, and the bodyguards burst through the door. I have to admit, I truly loved Diana once. I wanted to spend my life with her. So seeing her naked and tangled up with another man still sent a pang of pain through my chest. But that pain was quickly overwhelmed by the sweet thrill of revenge. Diana shrieked in terror, then, cluelessly, pointed at Mrs. Thompson and screamed, "Who the hell are you people? Get out. Get out of my room right now, or I'm calling the cops. You're sleeping with my husband, and you want to call the cops on me?" Mrs. Thompson sneered. "You must have a death wish, you little tramp." Diana was instantly silenced. Julian, having scrambled into his pants, was already grabbing his wife's hand, begging, "Honey, please don't be mad. She seduced me. I've been trying to end it, but she kept calling me. You have to believe me." Mrs. Thompson slapped him hard across the face. "So it's all her fault, is it? She's a tramp, but you're no better. The evidence is clear, and according to our prenup, you get nothing. Get out of my house." Julian dropped to his knees, crying, "Honey, I know I was wrong. Please, just forgive me this once. I swear I'll never see her again. I'm begging you. She's the one who seduced me." Diana let out a shriek of disbelief. "Julian, why are you kneeling to her? She's just some old hack. You promised you were going to divorce her. Tell her to get lost. You shut up, Julian roared, slapping her viciously. This is all your fault. If you hadn't kept pestering me, I never would betray my wife. And now you're trying to break us up? What is wrong with you? The blow snapped Diana's head to the side, her eyes filling with tears. Julian, what are you talking about? You're the one who said you didn't love her anymore, that you were going to divorce her. You said if I gave you a son. Before she could finish, Julian grabbed her by the hair and slammed her head into the wall. A blood-curdling scream filled the room. No one moved to help her. We all just watched coldly as Julian punched and kicked her, aiming almost every blow at her stomach. His eyes were filled with a grim determination. He didn't stop until a pool of blood started to form beneath Diana. Then he let go and knelt before his wife again. Honey, the baby's gone. It wasn't mine, I swear. Just give me one more chance. I'll change, I promise. I'll never hurt you again. Mrs. Thompson glanced down at the blood pooling around Diana, then looked at Julian and spat in his face. Garbage, she said, her face a mask of contempt. She threw a stack of papers on the table. Those are the divorce papers. Sign them, or I'll have one of your hands cut off right now. The bodyguards took a menacing step forward. Julian shuddered in fear and, under duress, shakily signed the papers before collapsing to the floor, sobbing. Incredibly, Diana was still crawling towards him, grabbing his pant leg. Please, she whimpered, save our baby. Julian completely lost control, getting up and kicking her in the stomach again and again until she passed out. Mrs. Thompson waved a hand, and the bodyguards carried Diana out to take her to the hospital. I knew the couple had more to discuss, so I quietly left, but I decided to follow them to the hospital just to be sure. Diana had lost the baby, of course, but after emergency surgery, her life was saved. I called Brenda and told her to come take care of her daughter, making it clear I wouldn't be paying a dime for her hospital stay. As I was about to leave, a doctor stopped me. Excuse me, does this patient, Diana Miller, have a sister named Rachel? My heart skipped a beat. Yes, how did you know? The doctor smiled, pulling down his mask. I transferred from the orthopedic department. I remember the sisters well. Rachel has been in for several checkups over the years. Such a pitiful case. It's not a congenital condition, you know, but there's no chance she'll ever walk again. I immediately seized on the crucial point. Rachel's disability isn't congenital. Not at all, he confirmed. We've run extensive tests. She suffered a severe traumatic injury to both legs as a small child, which caused the paralysis. If I recall correctly, it was from a fall. In that instant, a horrifying thought took root and a chill ran down my spine. I left the hospital and immediately called Mark Jennings, asking him to use his journalistic resources to dig into Rachel's past. After interviewing several relatives, he finally called me back with a conclusion. Frank, Diana did it. She's the one who crippled Rachel. Back then, he explained, Brenda got pregnant again hoping for a son, but had another girl. The relatives said Diana was so jealous she tried to kill Rachel in her crib more than once. She even set a fire in the house once, but they caught it in time. The family moved to Denver shortly after. Rachel was fine until she was 2 years old, when she accidentally fell from a balcony and broke both her legs, causing the permanent disability. I even tracked down the original investigating officer. He said only Diana and Rachel were home at the time. Diana claimed she wasn't watching her sister closely. Since she was a minor and Brenda vouched for her, the case was closed. It was all crystal clear. Diana had crippled her own sister. And poor Rachel, too young to remember, had spent her whole life believing she was just born unlucky. I decided I had to tell Rachel the truth. But before I could, Diana created the perfect opportunity. Mark called me in a panic while I was in the middle of a board meeting. I dropped everything and raced over to their apartment complex. By the time I got there, Rachel was in tears. Diana tried to do it again, Mark told me, his voice shaking. She wanted to drown Rachel in the community pond. She left the wheelchair brakes unlocked on this slope. If I hadn't been here to grab it, she would have gone right in. I knelt in front of Rachel and spoke softly. Don't cry. There's something I have to tell you. She quieted down, looking at me with her tear-filled eyes. Is it about what happened before? I'm so sorry. I owe you an apology. I truly didn't know what was going on. It's okay, I said, sighing. None of that was your fault. But what I'm about to tell you now is critically important. You have to be careful of your sister and your mother. They literally want you dead. I told her everything Mark had discovered. At first, Rachel was just in shock. Then she tilted her head back, looked at the clear blue sky, and began to laugh. So that's it. No wonder my sister has always hated me. No wonder my mother was always so biased. I was never meant to be here at all. My heart ached for this poor girl. Listen, if you want, I can connect you with support services, people who can help. No, Rachel said, shaking her head. This is my business. I want to finish it myself. I didn't see Rachel again for a long time after that. But Diana showed up at my office one day. I was surprised she knew where to find me, but I later learned she'd gotten the address from a mutual friend. She took my expensive suit and the luxury watch on my wrist, and her expression turned sorrowful. Frank, you know I really did love you. Can't we just forget everything that happened and start over? I couldn't help but stare at her like she was insane. Do you have any idea how ridiculous you sound right now? But she grabbed my hand desperately. No, we were in love once. I know you still have feelings for me. Please, just give me one more chance. I swear I'll never betray you again. I'll be a good wife. I'll even give you a son. I shook her hand off in disgust. Listen to me. I never want to see you again. I don't want a son from you. The thought makes me sick. Diana collapsed to the floor as if her strength had vanished, her face pale as she stared blankly at my back as I walked away. Frank, I'm begging you. Give me one more chance. I really love you, she cried. I ignored her and had security escort her out, instructing the front desk that Diana Miller was never to be allowed in the building again. When I returned to my office, Evelyn Reed, who had been watching the whole spectacle on the security monitor, looked up with a twinkle in her eye. I never knew you had such a dramatic past, Mr. Peterson. Please, Ms. Reed, don't tease me. She was our most important business partner. I'd heard she was self-made, a woman who had built her empire from the ground up, which I deeply admired. On an impulse, I asked her to dinner. To my surprise, she accepted. On the way, she asked casually, if you were presented with a potential partner you got along with, someone who was your equal in business, you wouldn't turn that down, would you? I was so captivated by her brilliant smile that I nodded without thinking. Evelyn let out a soft laugh. She unexpectedly lowered the privacy screen in the car and leaned in to kiss me. By the time I processed what was happening, she was sitting back in her seat, looking pleased. Just as I thought. You're exactly my type. What do you think? I turned away, a little flustered. Evelyn, we've only met a handful of times. Decisions are made in an instant, Frank. Hesitation and indecisiveness won't get you far in this cutthroat world. Her words sparked a competitive fire in me. I met her gaze directly. Once you're with me, Evelyn, there's no getting away. She smiled and laced her fingers through mine. Don't worry. I'm at my best when the stakes are high. Not long after, we announced our engagement. It was just as she'd said, a decision made in an instant. The moment she kissed me, the desire to build a life with her became overwhelming. She was exactly my type, and, just as she predicted, I couldn't possibly refuse her. I invited Leo to our engagement party, but he had to cancel at the last minute for a call. It wasn't until after the last guest had left that my phone rang. It was him. Frank, he said, his voice grim. Diana and Brenda Miller are dead. My heart skipped a beat. What happened? They fell from their apartment building, Leo said. The ME found massive amounts of sleeping pills in their systems. It looks like they were drugged, then pushed from the roof. Who did it? Even as I asked, I already knew the answer. And sure enough, Leo said the name I was expecting. Rachel. She confessed to everything, killing her mother and her sister. But she's not in a good way, Frank. She's asking to see you. Are you willing to come down to the station? I explained the situation to Evelyn, and she told me to go without a second thought. When I arrived at the station and saw Rachel, I understood what Leo meant. Her eyes were sunken, and she looked like she was living in a state of constant terror. Yet there was also a flicker of triumphant relief in her gaze. She stared at me blankly for a moment, then shrugged and let out a hollow laugh. I know I'm going to die soon. I have to pay for what I did. It's not worth it, really. But when I think about the way they looked when they fell, I can't help but feel happy. She leaned back in her chair and laughed for a long time before looking at me again. Thank you for telling me the truth. It doesn't matter if you were just using me to get rid of him. I am grateful. I heard you got engaged today. Consider this my engagement gift. I didn't know how to feel in that moment. A part of me had wanted them to pay with their lives, to get revenge for the life they'd stolen from me. But to have it happen at the cost of Rachel's life, another innocent victim in all this, filled me with a profound sense of guilt. But Rachel just smiled, looking more at peace than I'd ever seen her. It's okay. You should look forward now. Forget those two monsters. Forget me. Go and start your new life. After she spoke, she signaled for the officer to wheel her away. On the walk out of the police station, my mind raced. I thought about all the anger and injustice of my past life and the incredible joy of getting a second chance. I realized how incredibly lucky I had been. I could only hope that some of my luck would follow Rachel into her next life and that she would find the loving family she always deserved. I looked up at the clear, blue sky. In the distance, I saw Evelyn standing with my parents. They were waving at me.